and substance abuse, societal issues, women and children, and so much more. Now, it's crucial to approach these subjects with empathy and understanding. These issues often intertwine with societal norms and can lead to tough conversations. It is important to create a safe space for dialogue where individuals can share their experiences without fear or judgment. I am Jumai Manson. Join me every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the program Inside Today on Global Television.
When you hear gender-based violence, what comes to mind? The abuse against women, the girl child, right? Well, gender-based violence, known as GBV, can also happen to men. And this refers to any harmful act directed at an individual based on their gender that causes physical, sexual, psychological, or economic harm. While gender-based violence is often associated with violence, like I mentioned, against women, men and boys can also be victims. Surprise? Calm down. Though their experiences are frequently underreported or overlooked due to stigma, cultural expectations, and limited support systems. Now, some of the forms of gender-based violence against men are the physical violence, which includes assault, domestic abuse, or torture, often occurring in intimate relationships, detention centers, or conflict zones. Sexual violence, men and boys may experience rape, sexual assault, or coercion, especially in prisons, schools, armed conflicts, or as a form of humiliation. Now, the psychological or emotional abuse, it includes threats, verbal, manipulation, or social isolation that damages a man's self-esteem or identity. Economic abuse, restricting access to financial resources or employment opportunities, often within intimate relationships. Now, the cultural and social violence includes harmful gender stereotypes that prevents men from expressing emotions, keeping the children away from them when there is misunderstanding, and at the same time seeking help. You know the saying that goes, men don't cry, men can't be victims. Hello and welcome to Inside Today. I am Jumai Manson. Today, like I mentioned, it's all about gender-based violence tilting towards the men. Now, I am being joined by Honorable Abdul Hamid Oladipupo Ali. He is a journalist, a publisher, and of course the CEO of the founder, Stop Violence Against the Men and Boy Child. He is also known as Mr. Nigeria. Do not go anywhere. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today on Global Television. And like I mentioned before, I have Mr. Nigeria in, of course, the studio here with me. And of course, he is the CEO of Stop Violence Against the Men and Boy Child. I mentioned his name. I said he's Honorable Abdul Hamid Oladipupo Ali. And you are welcome to Inside Today.
Good afternoon, Jumai.
Yes.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, I've seen you a number of times. I'm happy to be with you live.
That is good. And this is a very sensitive topic when it has to do with gender-based violence. You know, when we hear that, we feel it's all about the woman and the girl child. Now, explain to us, how can a man actually be abused when it comes to assault from the women folk? Because from my preamble, you heard that I said, especially when they're in a relationship, then this sort of thing can occur. The men are supposed to be the stronger ones. I don't understand. What's wrong?
Thank you, July. Yeah, you've read it all, probably what I was going to say, you have actually mentioned, but to start with, we need to create more awareness to let people know, the world, especially United Nations, know that much emphasis has been placed on the eradication of violence against men and girl child. There are days declared for that. There are weeks. I think there is a 16-day affirmative day for eradication of girls and blah blah blah. While putting women aside. Women, I'm not trying to be masculine, I'm not trying to be, because I started Violence Against Persons Prohibition. Violence Against Persons Prohibition Acts in Kwara State. That was what I started with, which Persons Prohibition, and there's actually a VAP law in existence in Nigeria.
Okay.
So the VAP law, Violence Against Persons Prohibition law, is in existence. So persons is including both men and women. But emphasis from United Nations down to the local governments, to the world, is on women. So, but like going back to your question that how are men being violated? Yes, emotionally, men are being violated. Physical assaults, men are being violated. But the issue is, women have sentiments attached. The woman is the one assaulting the man. And the next thing you see is the man, the one who first eat a man, will now be the one to say, you kill me today, you kill me, I start locking up the man. Then she's the one that will draw attention. But people tend to believe that it's the man that has assaulted her, whereas she was the one that assaulted the man.
I know, Abdul Majid. I want to ask a question. But seriously, the women are the weaker sex. You can't throw a punch at a woman and you expect her to keep. She has to do something.
She's the one that first threw a punch at you.
Take it like a man.
Yes. She's the one. She threw the first punch, and realizing that by the time you bounce on her, she's dead. Then she will draw attention. Oh, you killed me today. She has killed me. Now she was the one actually eating the man. You understand? So, and because the society,
yes,
even government, the world as a whole, have respect regards for women, gender, even when it is clearly seen that men are being violated, even by the time you go to a police station, there are cases we have handled where the police will tell a man that you are not ashamed of yourself. How can you say a woman is beating you? Then we tend to go further. Are you trying to encourage violence? Because if the man has come to report that is being violated, you need to, don't see him as a weakling. No, don't say he's weak. Try and get into the matter and see what actually happened. Because in most cases, women are doing the worst to men.
Women?
Oh, men. Women.
You mean my gender?
Your gender.
But I want to ask a question though. Sometimes we speak on these matters. It's interesting to know.
Yeah.
So now, what do men really want? A woman. Some say they don't want a woman who is so quiet, a woman who is up and doing and all of that, and then she just says one word and you just feel she's abusing you, or she's what are the I want to know. What are the examples that term that a man is being violated by a woman or being abused by a woman? What are the common instances that you can just say that, oh, this is abuse? Or when a woman just says, or a woman deprives you of her children, for instance, is that an abuse? A woman says you hit the woman and she decides to hit you back or fight back, is that an abuse? What can you really term as gender-based violence against the male folk?
Well, let me start by saying that either male or female, violence is violence. Anything that turns to attack, that is targeted towards hurting another person, When you are making someone happy, you know. And when you are hurting, you know within you. Whatever is bad is something you don't like people seeing you doing. You want to cover up is a bad thing. So either man or woman, we are not supposed to hurt each other. By the time what you started with love, affection, and sweet to nothing, one of the parties is beginning to take advantage of the other. It turns to violence. There was a case recently where a judge sentenced a lady who collected 50,000 naira to visit a guy, and she did not go. And I think she was sentenced to some months imprisonment with an option of fine.
Okay.
Yeah, she had to pay like, is it 250,000 or so to the court. So it happened in Nigeria just about 3-4 months back. So because that man has been violated. You understand?
Because he gave her 50,000 naira and she didn't show up.
To transport herself. She requested for it and he sent the money. It's not the value of the money that matters, but it's stealing by trick.
How are you sure?
No, she confirmed to it in court. She was in court herself, and she accepted that yes, she collected the money, but that she wanted to return the money back.
Oh, okay.
You know,
at least she was honest.
Yes, she was honest. You know, but before the judge could say that she should be sentenced, of course, there was cross-examination. So what we are saying in essence is that basically gender-based violence mostly happens is addressed as under domestic violence, but it goes beyond domestic violence. But let's talk about domestic violence, for instance. It is usually assumed that men, not just assumed, it is common among men to use our masculine nature, you know, to suppress women and all that. Some men, not all men, you know, some men. But it has now been taken as a kind of a general thing that every man. I was at a men's summit recently that took place in Abuja, here in Abuja, and I tried to talk with somebody from one of the sponsor organizations, you know, foundations that sponsor the program. That we're talking about violence against men, and what have you. And the woman told me that how they could not. That 90% of violence are caused by men, are triggered by men, and there's no way they want to come and support. I said, no, but we're talking about violence. You see, any form of violence should be eschewed, should be eradicated, either against men or against women. But women are also taking advantage. Take, for instance, FIDA, Federation of International Women, Federation of Women Lawyers, or something that talks about violence against women. You see, once any matter that has to do with women and girl child comes up, you see them there. By the time they eventually do their investigation and they discover that it's the female gender that is at fault, then you know, it doesn't go the way it should go. It is not supposed to be like that. By the time you discover that female genders are at fault, also put up the same measure of discipline, you know, that should have mounted on the male. Let the woman also taste it. But because they believe that women, they say women don't go to prison. Why? On what ground? We are all persons, either male or female. So women actually assault men physically. Yes, we have records because my organization has records. We have been following up similar cases where women physically assault men. And at the summit I was talking about, they raised the question that why is it that mostly among elites we don't get reported cases of assault against men? Yeah, I say it's because the man believes that he's a chief, he's an honorable, he's a senator. So even by the time the wife slaps him, you know, it takes it within himself. We are saying this must stop. Because if it were the man that slaps the woman, either as a king or a governor, it goes wide. But when it's a woman that does it otherwise, they say, no, I don't let them know. How can you say your wife has assaulted you?
But let me ask you a question before we delve into the matter now. This is we've been talking on a lighter note, and we'll continue. Do you think that the man decides to suck it in because he wants peace to reign, and because what the society perceives of a man, that a man is supposed to be in charge? So when his wife slaps him, he should suck it in and handle it right there and then, and just either on a table call both families that your daughter is doing this to me, and do not announce it or don't say it at all. A man is supposed to be like a role model in the family. So is that why most men keep quiet? Now, I know you've had an experience recently that happened like years back, and you were actually abused by your own spouse. So tell us a bit about that, and how were you able to handle that? Keep it in check. Like, as a man, you must keep everything in check. Everything must be in check when you're a man. So how were you able to handle the whole situation?
Thank you very much. To start with, there's a difference between keeping in check.
Being a role model also.
Being a role model and dying in silence. Suffering in silence and dying in silence. One of these Afrobeat musicians says, suffering and smiling. We are suffering and smiling in the name of maintaining our ego, putting it in check.
Staying in that marriage.
Yeah. I'm not advocating for divorce. Yeah. There are cases where men speak out. When you are being assaulted, yes, you invite the families and what have you.
Exactly.
Yes. By the time that has been done and it persists, either man or woman, so far the center no longer holds. Even though in my religion it says divorce is the greatest thing that God hates to happen. But if it must happen to save life, you can have your ways. But God said if a divorce is about to take place, the throne of God, the hierarchy, will be shaken. That is to tell you how sacred marriage is. But at the same time, it doesn't cause for one losing one's life. So in a situation where we men, the challenge we are having is that we just don't want to. It goes beyond saying keeping it in check. No, it goes beyond that. Because something that you kept in check and you try to reconcile and still keep the family going, and yet it continues. Most men will go out. That is why you see them hanging out till 11, 12, 1 a.m. in beer parlor. They want to get home, just sleep. The following day, they have gone out.
See, that's the problem.
No, because they are trying to avoid the problem of the woman.
No, for me, that is the problem now. Why don't you communicate so the woman will understand what is wrong with you?
Oh, that is what you want to have. When you talk about communication, communication has to be dyadic.
True.
So if communication is no longer dyadic, then there is no communication. It's just that we are talking. Somebody will start telling you, keep talking, or telling you, free of charge. So the woman has really turned you to non-entity, a personal non-grata in the house, and you don't want to use your hand on her. Then the best thing you want to do is to avoid her. After that is the last stage. I don't drink, I don't hang out, I don't but in my own case, after you have informed the families and what have you, and you later discover that it is even the family of the woman that are telling her that, they are going to show your husband that they are superior than him and his family in the society. Then in that situation, simply because they belong to the family of a chief judge, of a state, and you believe that, this is where my case, I felt like we need to really talk about assisting men. You see, like in my case now, I've tried everything humanly possible under the law to make sure that I protect this from getting out of hand. But I have to now start fighting back, professionally and within the limits of the law, when I discovered that they started using the instrument of the law itself against me. You can imagine a situation where someone moved away from the house, and I informed my family informed our family, and by the time my parents called our parents, they said they are not interested, they don't know where, that she's an adult, she knows what she's doing. Okay, I just came back from US and I went on an assignment. By the time I came back, I discovered that she has left the house and went with some of her belongings, not all. Then, after informing our people and my people, I decided to change the lock of the key so that she wouldn't come behind and park while I was not aware, because she was still my wife then, we are not divorced. So, by the time she came and she found the door locked, she called, I got a call from the police station that why did I not allow her to pack her things? Then I called a justice myself, of blessed memory, I don't want to mention name, he's late now. So I called him, so Daddy, this is what is happening. The man sent a lawyer with me to meet me at the station, that because he is aware that they might want to oppress me. So by the time I go to the station with my lawyer, the lawyer told her that let her go to court if she knows that she wants to move out of her matrimonial home. What is the business of the police in this? And that's how we resolved that. Okay, we resolved it after staying about 3 months. Somebody that was married and was having 3 months pregnancy, as at the time she left, and the family said they don't want us to be related by blood, and they asked her to go and terminate the pregnancy. It was stuff like that. So I was like, okay, if this is the case, by the time she came back after we resolved everything, we eventually lost that son, that child. Okay, we started all over again in the name of, understanding, keeping it in check and all what have you. You see, but you see, in some cases, when your marriage or relationship is getting toxic, and you have tried all you could, just make sure that you guys are, you don't really hurt each other. That is my own concern, And at the end of the day, after we moved on and eventually it didn't work, she let her move out of the house again in 2019. The first one was in 2016, and by the time she did that in 2016, 2 months after she left, I became chairman of the local government. You understand? And then when I became chairman, she came back, and we moved on again. So she had the second child, and by the time the second child was to become 1 year old.
So now I want to ask, I know with all of that, then when did the marriage become abusive? When did she start being abusive? At what point?
Thank you very much. You see, there are various factors that lead to this, and it differs from various family and homes. Like in my own case, a family sees themselves as superior to my family and to me. And I was like, no, you are not feeding me, you are not feeding my family. As far as this home is concerned, this is my home and my wife's home. Stay clear of our home. My family should stay clear, our family should stay clear. Let's build our own home. So, but it's unfortunate that she's not the type that can tell her parents, oh, please leave me with my home. So that's the problem.
So family interference actually caused one of the...
Yeah, they are the ones that want to tell her, if we discuss as husband and wife, by the time she gets back to her family, whatever we discuss today, they will tell her no.
But the thing is, Mr. Abdullah, I don't see any abuse here. When did abuse happen?
Abuse now started happening, abuse and assaults. You see, because I have a name as a politician, and because I'm a social justice advocate, so there's nothing to do I want to see in me that a day is going to come when people will ask me, oh, you didn't have enough patience.
No.
Or you have equally, if somebody assaulted you and you assaulted him, it becomes two fighting. But you have a good case if someone assaults you and you keep quiet. So I've always been maintaining that.
But was there any physical assault?
There was, with people in attendance. In fact, I can be mentioning names. I'm not going to mention the names now, but like my landlady at that time, our children were there when she was assaulting me, slapping me, tearing clothes on me, and even the housemates of our landlady was like, why is this man quiet? This man is... So, I was like, I know as a man, if I hit her back, mine would go on the headline of news the following day. So I kept it to myself, but I called some family members to come and see. At another time when she was trying to travel out with the children, and I called US Embassy to give my children visas. So eventually she went and she was refused the visa. By the time she came back, she said, oh, the house would boil. And that was the last time she moved out, that I was the one that made her not to get the visa. And I said, no, I said my children, not you.
I want to ask you now.
So on this very day, she had to bring dangle knife that she was going to kill me.
Wow.
I had to run into the toilet for like hours, and she started calling people that she was going to kill me. That I didn't allow her to go to US to meet her twin sister. You understand?
But I want to ask you a question now. You made a statement. You said most men are suffering and smiling.
Yeah.
Now, for men who are going through this sort of abuse, because it's not on the rampage, they don't talk so much about it, because if you look at the ratio or the percentage, men actually, it's higher. Gender-based violence is higher because men actually assault women more. Cases of men being abused is not as high as the women being abused, but there are men who go through this, and it's underreported because they don't come out and say, because of what society will think, because of what culture will think, because of what their ego and all of that. What can you say to a man who is going through this abuse in his home as we speak, whether physical, emotional, psychological, financial? What can you say to that man?
To encourage men to start speaking out, I've even started writing my own experience in the book, Silence Further Shattered Justice. You know, when you see people like us coming to speak out, they will also start speaking out. This is what is actually causing a lot of men's death. My case, I talk about institutional influence, whereby the judiciary was even used. I said the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. And I went to court, and by the time I got to court, I saw that the court was even manipulating. I'm telling you, for the rest of, since the beginning of January to now, I've not seen my children, where a judge was telling me that the woman called that the children said they don't want to see their father. A judge that presided a case. You can imagine. I've sent all this to the NJC, to the Chief Judge of Nigeria, and I'm happy that they are taking steps on it. You know, I believe that Nigeria will work, the system will work. That is why I started this NGO to encourage men. You see, don't fight back. Even when she assaulted me, I showed you pictures the other time. She used her car to ram into mine, and she assaulted me, wounded me. Police were saying they could not do anything. Another chief magistrate said that there is a criminal administration of justice in Kwara State that says that they should not entertain such case and they destroy. So, but if she has killed me, then they will now say justice for Mr. Nigeria. So, some of these cases of woman or man killing each other is because people don't act in time. When you go and report, let's stop saying, oh, act fast. A retired Grand Caddy joined them in forging a letter to the court to say that I don't want children again. So things like this, they are the things that we are saying men should start speaking out. They can reach out to us. When they reach out to us, we encourage, we assist them in reaching out to the necessary NGOs and authorities, so that the rate of men dying, that's why you see men just dying like fowl, because they absorb it, they put it in their heart. At the end of the day, it turns to hypertension, and at the end of the day, they die just unceremoniously. So we are advising them that they can reach out to us or to any other organizations that are into men, whatever, so that we will start this campaign until the United Nations declare an international day for the eradication of violence against men and boy child as well.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Abdulrahman Abdulhamid Oladipukpo. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulhamid Oladipukpo. Thank you so much for being a part of Insighted. Of course, he is the CEO of Stop Violence Against the Men and Boy Child. And of course, he was formerly Mr. Nigeria. Thank you so much for being a part of Insight today.
It's nice.
Now, in summary, gender-based violence against men is a serious and often hidden issue. Recognizing that men, like women, can be victims of abuse is essential for achieving true gender equality and building societies that protect the dignity and rights of all individuals. I am Jumai Manson. Hope you've learned one or two. Let's live amicably, and of course, let peace reign always. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Bye-bye.